Hello everyone, thank you for tuning into today's episode 11. The few lessons coming up, we'll be discussing with how to deal with files when it comes to Java. Now, dealing with files can be very complicated, so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and break it down into sections. So one section will be updating a file, another section will be creating a file, so we can really understand how to go about doing and writing code for those. And in the final episode, what we want to do for dealing with files, what we want to do is put all that together. But without any further delays, let's go ahead and look at what we're going to be covering today. Today we're tasked with creating an application that will open a text file using the default application on the desktop. And what I mean by default, whatever the desktop is using to open a text file, that's what's going to be used from our Java code. So we're going to discuss the file class. We're going to look at the exist method, the getPath, the lastModified, and we're also going to look at the desktop class. So without any further delays, let's go ahead and get started. Go ahead and open Eclipse. And I already wrote the code, but what I'm going to do is go through and rewrite it again, just to demonstrate how this code is supposed to work. So when I hit run, I have a file, excuse me, I have a file saved here called bacon.txt, and when I run this block of code, all this code right here, what's going to happen is we're going to open this file. So let's go ahead and demonstrate that. The run button, and here you go. You have the bacon.txt file that opens up, which if you see here is specified in this class right here. So let's go and get started. And like I said, what I'm going to do, I'm delete everything, and we're going to start from scratch. Get rid of this. I'm not going to delete everything. I'm going to leave these two methods that I have created already. I'm going to leave those. Delete this statement here. Almost. I'm going to touch briefly on this IO exception right here. Okay, so what we have here, we have our class open a file. We have two methods within that class to open the file and the main method. Let's go ahead and save this here, and we're going to go ahead and start. Now, one thing we're going to be using is a file class. Now, the file class, that's used to perform operations on files and directories, basically such as deleting them, determining their attributes, and creating input and output streams for files. So that's what the file class is used for, and that's what we're going to use at first. So we're going to say file. So I don't have to create any objects for this class. I'm going to say static file and file. Okay. And if we see here, we have our semicolon, we have everything stated correctly, but we're getting this little error message. Basically what it is, we need to go ahead and import java.io. Let me go ahead and import java.io. We're good. Everything's fixed. So that's our first import. So we're going to move on to the next thing, which is creating the desktop object. So we're going to say static again, desktop. We're going to name this open desktop, because this is what we're going to use to open our desktop. So again, we're getting the same error message. We need to import the java.awt. So we'll go ahead and click down here, import, and all I'm doing is just hovering my mouse over desktop, and it lets me know. So the desktop class, to use it, we need to import java.awt.desktop. So we've done that. So we're good with everything so far up here. So next, what we want to do is create the file object. Right here, we haven't done that. All we did, we've stated that we're going to use this variable. So what I'll do here is file equal new file, and here's where I'm going to put the path to my file. Put my semicolon. I'll forget that later. So we come down here. And you can use whichever path you want to use. Copy. I'm going to use this file location, and I'm going to show you something. So get the file, and the file has to be created already. So if you need to pause the video and go create that file, please go ahead and do so. You can name the file whatever you want. Just make sure copy it and paste it here exactly like how I've done it. And then I need to get the file name, which we said is we're going to use the bacon.txt file. Bacon.txt. Okay, now if you notice, I have my semicolon, everything stated correctly, but why am I getting this error message? That's because this backward slash is an escape key. So to use a backward slash when we're creating this, when we're using this object, we need to add another one. Right here, we're adding all the backward slash, so everything's added in. The next, what we need to do is determine if this file exists, because if this file exists, we want to go ahead and try to open it, but if it doesn't exist, we want to go ahead and just let the user know this file does not exist. If file dot fit, this returns true or false, we want to go ahead and open it. So right here, this is one of the methods that we said we wanted to use. It lets us know if the file is there or not. So if the file is there, we want to open it with our desktop equals desktop, and this is going to get the default application that's used to perform whatever action we're going to do. We're opening a text file, so this is going to get the default application to open a desktop text file. Excuse me. Once we've done that, we want to go ahead and say open desktop dot open. Now, what do we want it to open? We want it to open this file that exists. Their file exists. Now, we've stated everything correctly. Why are we getting this little error message still? If you hover again, we have to. We're dealing, since we're trying to open a file, Java, it might throw an exception. So in order to deal with that exception, we have to either surround this statement by a try catch, and we'll go into more details about this. But for now, what we're going to do is we're just going to come up here, type in throws with an S, and if you come back here again, the type of exception it's going to throw is an IO exception. Get rid of this so you can see. So you see here, IO exception. So we're going to go throws IO. And once we're done with our lessons covering files, we'll go into more details about this, dealing with the IO exception and how to go ahead and deal with that. But for now, just go ahead and type it in like I did. Okay, so we say if the file exists, go ahead and open it. And if it doesn't exist, it's a simple statement saying, hey, file does not exist. Does not exist. So let's save this here. Let's run it. Okay, I forgot this. It's not going to work. I'll go ahead and end it. Okay. So we see here, we still threw an IO exception, even though we stated everything correctly. The reason why this happened is in our main method, we also have to state the throws IO exception as well. Throws IO exception. So come down here in your main method and go ahead and type in throws IO exception, just like you did up here. Let's say this. Go ahead and run, and we see the file opens up. Perfect. Now let's just check our if statement and make sure everything works. So we only have one bacon. Let's go ahead and change this to BACN and watch what we get. If you open your console, you'll see that we get file does not exist. So that's working like we expect. So if the file does not exist, we'll get the prompt stating that it does not exist. If it does, we'll go ahead and open it up. Now let's get some more information about this file. Let's say we want to know when was the last time this file was modified. So we'll do long tme equals, so what we're doing here, we're creating a variable, a long variable, and we're gonna go ahead and use the file object dot lastModified. And now the reason why we're doing the long, because if you come over here to lastModified, you see here, this method, what it returns is a long. So that's why we do that. Now let's say, for instance, we'll go ahead and this out. So I'm going to say here, last slide. And we're going to come over here, put the TME. I'm going to show you why we need to do an extra step. We can use this, but just to make it simpler for a user, I'll show you. And we want to also add the actual file name, because if you look here, right here, we specify this is called an absolute path. So we want to get the actual file name. And come say, let me show you that file path. So file.get. Let's see if I can do this. Okay. How should I do it? Okay, so save this. And let's run this. So our file opens up. Let's go ahead and look at what we get here. lastModified. We get this again. You see the long that returns. So we want to make that look a little bit better. If we see the file path and then the file name bacon.txt. What mistake did I make here? I forgot to do this. Save it. So what we're going to do, let's convert this time TME into an actual date. So to do that, we're going to have to use date. Go down here, date mod date equals new date. Pass TM in here. Now what this is going to do is convert this long into an actual date for us. Import Java. Now make sure to import java.util, not java.sql. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in java.util and show you guys where it's at. So these are all the imports I've been doing. It just automatically brings it up here as long as you just hover over it and just put it in. So let's go ahead and copy this and replace this TME with mod date. So what we did here is we took the long, put it into the date method, convert it into an actual date that end user that's not familiar with the long version of a date. Save it, let's run it. File open up, everything looks great. Go to our console, perfect. lastModified date, Sunday, December 23rd, 2018. File path gives us the full path. File name, bacon.txt. Perfect, everything we expected to see. So this is how we use, what we use here is the desktop class, and we use the file class to open a file that already exists and using the default application that is set up on your desktop to open that. So I hope you guys enjoy this lesson. And next lesson we'll go into more details about file. We'll actually go ahead and create a file. And thank you for watching. You guys have a good day.